Hello, everybody. Sorry for that quick delay. Welcome to the first edition of the Mega Man 11 tournament. This is Mr. Kev, but you knew that already. We are watching Chelney and Infinite Mystery, two players who got in on this game really early on. We're even already getting a route divergence. This game very early on kind of had this decision of, is Tundra first the way to go? Because Tundra is this great screen clearing weapon. Or is Impact first superior? Because you get this basically an air dash that is really good for movement throughout the game. So where should we pick this up? Infinite Mystery is on a windy screen, but Chelney's fighting the Pickman Digger. Neat little mini boss there. Just need to get under it, use that turbo, and pummel it to death. So Chelney's in the elevator room in Impact. And hopefully we get to see this. Taking out that, basically the miner up on the top, using a lot of precise shots and working his way through that room with iframes so fast, I'm still not done explaining it, and he's 2 screens ahead of it. This game, if you haven't seen it yet, there is an in-game turbo, and it's great. The game actually, though, otherwise caps your mashing at that turbo rate, so we use that a lot in the speedrun. So expect to see a lot of the mashing as we go along. Infinite Mystery also done with the giant ice mammoth statue there in the museum. Fortunately, these should be the only 2 stages we see different the whole time. So let's see if Impact Man blesses the run. Behold Impact Man. We get good boss intros in this game, don't worry. So the double gear system in this game, bosses use it as well. Generally when they get down to about half health. And Chelney did a little too much damage to Impact Man, so we get to see his power gear phase right here. The goal is to not ever see this, because it's just a lot of time where you can't damage him. It's not that bad, though, because now Chelney gets another 4 patterns and takes care of business. The Buster power combo is actually a great attack in this game. Both shots hit. It does about 8 damage total, and that's good. So Infinite on the right is on this last windy screen. This is one of those like low-key worst screens in the game, just because of exactly that. It's very easy to just get pushed a little too far by the wind, miss that jump input. And a common theme in this game is that mistakes are punished by a trip into a pit or a trip onto spikes. Something bad is going to happen. As Infinite continues working, Chelney starting this stage out, he is going to have Impact for this stage, though, whereas Infinite is still going Buster only. So a lot of the stage, as we get further in the stage, honestly, we'll get to see Impact. A quick switch there just to reset Rush faster for Chelney. The passive boss is predetermined. The runners are free to use whichever route they want. The route, I suspect both runners are going to have the same route once they get past the first 2 robots of Tundra and Impact. Chelney here is just staying as low to the ground as he can for a lot of it to get more slides in, because more slides means you move a little bit faster. Infinite just caught on this vertical screen here. This one is not fun, and those jumps are just painful sometimes. Chelney working through the first wind forward screen. He's going to get to the mid boss here, that ice mammoth. The charge shot in this game actually works a little bit like the charge shot in Mega Man X8, where you can kind of remove the shields from enemies, like Mets and like that mini-boss. You can use that there with a little speed gear help then, and the turbo button, you just plow through its life meter and it's all over. So one of the benefits to having Impact in this stage, you saw Chelney just picked up a W-Tank. W-Tank's surprisingly useful in this game because Impact is just too good of a weapon. Infinite is up to his first Robot Master. Let's see how this Tundra fight goes. Oh, I see. He's taking the intentional death here. Didn't like his health total. I was wondering what he was doing, sliding all the way across the room. See, Chelney's trying to get to this right ladder so that he can pick up the drop for Impact. He wants it for the last screen. Otherwise, that left ladder definitely would have been the path to take. Infinite, I don't think is going to get the one of the quick kills. So let's see what Chelney does here. Infinite is taking care of business, though. Getting to see Tundra's speed gear phase. And now Infinite's applying some of the power combos. So Chelney is going to open up with some power shots here. And if he did that right, he missed with the first shot intentionally. The blue shot dinked so that he could get more shots with fewer iframes. I'm not going to be perfect with these explanations. The game's still a little new. But by missing with that shot, he was able to do what he just did. And take out Tundra just a few seconds faster than some of the other quick kill patterns. Very nice fight. So Infinite is going to take on Impact second. And Chelney, this is also where I think Impact is going to go third, off to Torchman. Torchman stage, great little campsite. Nothing wrong here. Someone just forgot to prevent the forest fighters this week. So immediately, you're going to see a lot more Impact usage as we go along. Those W tanks that we're going to be picking up, actually in 4 stages, I think, are going to be just really important to just make sure we can keep spamming Impact like crazy. Think like a Mega Man X game. You want to be air dashing a lot if you're not sliding. So Chelney making it look easy here. I forget the name of our spicy chicken here. I would like to point out the Mets in the background. If you think he's using Tundra a little too fast, the key there is if you slide, it actually removes the cooldown from your Tundra usage. And that's important for just being able to use Tundra more and more often. Chelney having a little bit of trouble getting up to that W tank. Fortunately, if you didn't know, Tundra will stop the firewall that is chasing Mega Man through this stage. That is instant death if it catches up to you, so stay in front of it. Tundra is your friend. It happens to be the Robot Master's weakness. And I told you those W tanks would come in handy. This stage is routed along with many others so that Impact and as many other weapons as possible get filled by the W tank at once. W tanks will fill up every weapon. So it's to your advantage to, use those tanks where you can use more than one, as well as if it's just that much faster to use Impact. Oh, Chelney! Cutting it too close there. Infinite using Rush there. He's going to get to the Pickman Digger in a couple of screens. Dancing through Impact Man's little brothers. So, the Torch fight, not as exciting as some of the others, because you really just hit him with 2 power Tundras and 2 normal Tundras. And it's been fun. So Infinite here, just going to stand on the right side and try and take down the Pigman Digger with charge shots, it looks like. This boss, not exactly fun, because the crane will block shots. And you need to get those shots in at the top. If you don't have a weapon like Blockman's that can attack it from above, you're kind of stuck waiting for it to be exposed to buster shots, which isn't as often as anyone would really like. Chelney into Blastman stage. Infinite Mystery going into the giant elevator room. Blastman stage, an exercise in avoiding explosions. Still some Impact to be used everywhere. The blocks that block a lot of the stage, if I can use that phrase, will explode if they are hit with Torchman's weapon, so that is something you can use in a couple of spots to just speed things up, including some screens you might not expect, as we'll see later. Power Torch sends out those 3 waves of fire, so some of them go down a little faster, some of them go a little further across the screen, so you can use that to your advantage. That was the Twin Thriller mini-boss. I hope you didn't miss it, because oddly, you need 1 power and specifically 1 not powered Tundra to take it out. Chelney, you got to jump a little further than that. Infinite using Rush Coil through this last real room of... oh my goodness, Impact. Infinite getting stuck kind of in the Tundra Man pose. Having to navigate this stage again a little bit. So Chelney should be going for the Rush Coil strat here. This is a little crazy. And I think he hit Rush a little later than he would have liked. Since he probably would have bonked on the top of the ladder. I don't know if he did or he just got to Rush too late. Either way, again, mistakes are punished by a trip to the abyss. Infinite into the Impact Man fight. Wants to hit him with a bunch of charge shots, and then when he goes into his jumping phase, start going for the power combos. I don't think he's going to get the quick kill either. And Chelney's going to just say he'd rather clear the stage this time, grab the ladder, not try Rush. So he's going to impact over the rest of this. I'm curious to see if he's going to keep going for the last screen's fast strat. Or the last large screen anyway. He's going for it, so you want to blow up that first block over his head so that you can actually use Rush to get up there. And then you have a small gap to use Rush again to get up to the next set of blocks. And you just make that last vertical screen a lot faster. Infinite having a little trouble with the Impact Man fight, so he's going to go in there again. Chelney up to Blast Man. Blast Man, actually still a pretty scripted fight. Has this new Tundra opener I'm not quite as familiar with, but that was a lot of damage, and that's beautiful. Blast Man, I think, does the same 3 attacks to open up every time. So as long as you can pile on the damage fast enough, you will just take him out really fast. And again, the Power Buster combo is kind of the key to a lot of the fights in this game. Doing 8 damage at a time to a boss is amazing. After 4 Robot Masters, doesn't matter which 4, you get Rush Jet. That was that prompt you saw Chelney hit through. And yes, like a lot of other Mega Man games, the 4 Robot Masters that were chosen to go through first, not just impact for movement, but also because Rush Jet becomes very useful as we go through these next few stages. This is Block Man, Demo Man, if you played the demo. It's Infinite moving on to Torch Man stage. So Rush Coil uses 4 points of energy as we go through this game. Rush Jet uses 2. So there's a lot of points where it might be a spot where it looks like you could coil up, but if you can use Jet and quickly jump up, you can save 2 points of rush ammo. Jet and Coil use the same weapon meter in this game, so it's imperative to save as much of it as you can. I can't remember that tower's name, but the fast strat these days is 2 Tundra, 1 Power Blast. There are no free weapon drops floating around in Blockman stage, so you have to be a little careful with the fact that you're using Blast a lot. And you want Blast for Blockman himself, since it's the weakness. You're seeing a lot of impact used on these screens to speed things up. You can't really slide through these jumps, so you need another way to move fast. It's just important to remember those blocks that are falling, they still will push Mega Man down. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, a very fast way to lose a life in this game is to just impact blindly. So yes, a lot of torch just to reach up and get things. Infinite on the owl screen, so he's turning off the lights. We'll see how that works out for him. Chelney showing that off as well. If you didn't already know, you can use Blast. It doesn't have to be the Power Blast. It can be the small ones as well to take out the giant sort of block puzzles that appear in Blockman stage. And Chelney is going to be showing up here. Impact Man, we saw there was a sort of 20-second power gear phase that you were forced to kind of sit through. Everybody who played the demo probably saw the giant block golem for Blockman that appears about halfway through the fight. Hopefully we will not be seeing that. There you go. So by doing a really precise amount of damage there, you can basically get it so that those 4 chained together blasts on the right-hand wall do enough damage to get him to think he's going to go into that golem phase. And if you are charging the power gear charge shot the whole time, you will get the final charge, which will in that one hit do just a ton of damage. And if that finishes things, well, you're done. That saves, like, that feels like 40 seconds, something insane. And yet, you get to do that twice in your speedrun. Chelney into Bounce Man stage. Infinite working his way towards the end of Torchman stage. Has one more firewall screen to work through. Chelney is going to be doing a lot of kind of jumping around here, making use of the fact that iframes, like your knockback animation, is canceled by bouncing. A lot of impact and a lot of jet. This stage, more than a lot of the others, Infinite getting rush jet spawning way too high. Basically, this stage needs a lot of jet and a lot of impact. There's a lot of weapon usage in Bounce Man stage. If you have the Chelney Frog emote, this is the time to spam it, by the way. Blocks, very useful on that mini-boss. The fire takes out the frog. This room is a really annoying room. Chelney going the low path. Nice. Concrete Man and Block Man, I believe, are buddies, if not brothers. I think they're co-workers in the lore. Yes, we have a Mega Man game with lore. And Chelney using Tundra to recover here a little bit. Ends up using Rush anyway. Doesn't matter too much because that W tank is getting used here just to refill, well, everything. This is a room where you're supposed to take the left-hand column up, come down the middle, go up the right again, or you just use Rush. So yeah, you can imagine that Bounce Man stage is kind of crazy. It's very easy to get caught in bad spots, just bouncing around forever, getting stuck on enemy shots. So Chelney's not getting the W tank here in Impact Man stage. I know that was a somewhat relatively new debate on whether or not it should be collected during AGDQ. So the goal here is to jump high enough to make the game think you jumped from the very top of that set of platforms, which saves you a little bit of time if you do it right the first time. Chelney getting it, though, so that is good. Into Bounce with not too much impact left. I think he's going to try and get a power combo in here. Infinite, meanwhile, is fighting off Torchman. Looks like he has plenty of Tundra to take care of business here. Easy fight. So the first, any use of impact on Bounce Man sort of breaks him up like that. Getting the power combo in there to not need another use of impact. 3 impacts will also take care of Bounce Man. Easy fight. So Infinite to Blast Man, Chelney on to Fuse. These stages are actually both pretty technical the more I think about it. The late game just gets more and more insane. Fuse Man has a lot of damaging floors and a lot of lasers, which makes it kind of tricky to use impact. Chelney, I'm sure, was not trying to use Tundra there. For the unawares, you can use the right control stick to switch weapons in this game. You just tap it in the direction of that Robot Master on the stage select. That said, it's very easy to accidentally have it flick back or just tap it incorrectly on a diagonal. So every now and again, you're sure to see something like that happen where just a random Tundra gets used. That, I feel like, is most of the hard parts of this stage. We see a neat little rush coil here. don't have to get too much on a rush to get that coil effect, sliding through all those lasers. I believe this is the Dread Spark. 3 bounces, and that's that. Infinite Mystery also done with the thrillers. Infinite using, not Infinite, Chelney's using Torch there to take out those bats before they come down. Important to switch to charge, normal charge here, just to take out that bottom row of enemies. Otherwise, you're taking damage. The fuse fight is a little hectic. If you have the strat down, it goes by way too fast to really kind of tell how dangerous it can be. Chelney not quite able to beat those lasers to the top after the initial damage he took. Infinite working his way through this last screen here. On the last screen. There's a couple more screens. This stage just keeps going. Wisely using Tundra to stop those boxes from exploding. Chelney opening up with some bounce balls and going straight into Buster combos, trying to take care of Fuse before he goes into this attack pattern. Not quite able to do it. Fortunately, once you get enough balls bouncing around the room, Fuse Man is eventually going to run into one of them. And that will end that fight. Yes, Chelney has put in quite a bit of time into figuring out this. Infinite into the Blast Man fight now. He's going to open up with Torch, so you're going to kind of see here sort of the intended way to kind of take this out. That Torch arcs will match the bomb arcs that Blast Man throws at you, which makes it a lot easy. Well, a lot easy. Very simple to take him out. Not as fast as Chelney's kill, but a pretty easy kill. So Chelney just filling the screen with bounce balls to take out as many of these little scrubber enemies as he can. Acid Man stage, kind of a, I don't know if this is like a sewer complex, a chemistry vat. It's a weird place. But like a lot of the rest of the game, the goal is impact everywhere. The color of the water more determines how many drops of acid from the little dropper enemies on the surface it takes to make a pool acidic to the point where it takes damage. Chelney using Blast there to get just a little bit of extra height in that fall, since it pops Mega Man into the air, so he doesn't land on that spot. Saves an impact and less height than if you used Fuse for the same trick. 4 impacts, 2 powered, 2 not to get here. And the red acid screen. The red here is probably the most dangerous because the water feels like it goes fast. Wow, that save. Oh. So there's a lot of spikes at the end of the stage, as you can plainly see. Nice with the coil jump at the end. Infinite is using Buster on the tower here. Manages to take it down. Good job. So Acid Man himself, weak to block. So there's going to be, again, a sequence of Power Buster and Power Block here. Block first to take out that shield more than anything. When you see Rush come down a lot in these situations where the players are switching back to Buster, it's not so much to use Rush most of the time, so much as it's an easy way to get the Buster back out. Since switching to Rush also switches the Buster. Only trick to that is you must have some Rush weapon energy for that to work. And that's 8 robots for Chelney. The way I figure, it's not that Acid Man is weak to getting stoned. I like that pun, though. It's just the calcification or something. I'm sure it's a very basic thing going on. Alright, so Chelney in the Gear Fortress, the Wily Tower in this game. And you're going to see just a lot of weapons get used in sequence here. Blast is a lot of it, but there's a lot of block and torch to take out enemies on the far edges of the screen. A lot of rush getting used. And right around here, there should be a drop that Chelney just dashes straight through, picking it up as he goes. That's another theme for this stage specifically, just making sure you keep getting impact drops. And just making sure you jump high enough to get over all these enemies. You don't want to get bopped into a pit. This screen is just full of drops. There's Infinite taking out the giant block maze. This spike drop looks terrible, but if you come onto it holding a direction and come back onto the next screen holding the opposite one, you should be fine, as long as you're far enough over to not hit the spikes on the first fall. This next to last screen here, Chelney. Easy to just impact over the whole thing. Chelney is out of rush, and looks like he's going to switch to the acid barrier to use as a shield going up here, using the weapon to its intended purpose. So people are already complaining in chat, oh, it's Wily again. This is our old friend. Goal is going to be to hit him with 4 grenades to open things up, do a lot of damage. It does do more than just a power shot. That will immediately send him into the speed gear phase. And again, another 4 of the normal shots up in the air. Now power shots, because it only takes 2 more at that point. Easy. Infinite still working his way through Blockman stage. These following blocks are not a joke. When done optimally, Rush Jet kind of makes it look really easy, but it's not fun working your way through these screens. Wily 2 has a lot of these walls, a lot of exploding blocks in your way, so there's going to be a lot of impact and a lot of torch as we go through this stage. Block is still sort of a favored weapon for taking out shielded enemies. Does the job. There's also going to be a couple of these like tower pillar mini bosses. They look rough. They're not. And Tundra, of course, also still here. You saw Chelney very quickly switch to Impact. Runners of this game are basically been working on switching. Chelney's thinking about it. Chelney's restarting the whole stage. Runners of this game have kind of trained themselves to, whenever they get a drop and see one coming, to switch to Impact as fast as they can. Infinite Mystery is going to fight the block golem here. The block golem, unfortunately, only takes 3 power blast shots to take down. There are a couple of other options that work pretty well. Chelney using Fuse there instead of block. Both of them on the left side of the right stick weapon swap. You can kind of see the icons whenever he uses them. The icons pop up. I'm not sure what Chelney's life situation is. I have a feeling he'd just rather keep the weapon situation. And yeah, he has to go back to the start of the stage from there anyway. So it's better to restart the stage from the menu and get your weapon energy back. Unlike the 8-bit Mega Man games, which I think is a safe way of putting it at this point, you do get your weapon energy back between Wily stages. Well, that explains it at least. Infinite Mystery is going to do acid here after block, it looks like. As long as you're not planning to use a lot of fuse or bounce in the stage. You saw Chelney definitely did use a lot of bounce. but it's not really required by any stretch. You have the weakness, so you can certainly come here anytime after block. And Chelney is going to get to this screen again with several of the Sniper Joes. This time nails it. Getting one drop for impact in there and around midway. Should be one more screen after this, and then another one of the sort of getting chased by death screens. No, I'm with you, I never know how to pronounce that name. But yeah, Tundra in that room is definitely a safe way to go. Tundra in a lot of rooms is a safe way to just clear out all the enemies and not deal with missing a shot or something weird happening. So that looked like it was very dangerous. You can just summon Rush and at the end of a jump and jump full jump again off of Rush and you'll be fine. You will not hit the spikes if you're not holding up. That's just Sniper Joe doing his job. Also true. So our boss here is the Mauverine. It's definitely not QT9 from Mega Man 5. So the outer shell gets opened up by, I want to say it's one bounce ball. It might be two. The inner part, still weak to bounce, but also weaker to impact. And Power Buster you saw in there once just to get some extra damage in, especially because when you bounce off of the Mauverine with impact, you have a good chance of bouncing into its shell and taking some more damage. So Chelney largely done with platforming at this point. Just a couple of rooms left. This is actually the refight stage, kind of like Mega Man 6 on the NES. Just straight into a refight section. So we have Impact's weakness now. The fight doesn't change. This is actually still faster. Acid is kind of a clumsy weapon at times. And Chelney thinking about, does he want to do the first room again? Love Impact Man's lines. They're delivered perfectly. Infinite Mystery getting into his Acid Man fight. He's using Rush to not fall down after falling down. That's fine. Bounce Man should be the easy fight here. Infinite still has 2 lives to take care of Acid Man. I know there's a little bit of weapon routing that's starting to come into the refights. It's definitely gotten ahead of what I know about the game, though. This Impact and Tundra are weapons that are just too useful in too many places. And Buster is kind of making up a lot of the rest of the work. Infinite done with Acid Man now. Chelney into block, trying to skip this Power Gear cycle a second time. Ooh. Got him. Chelney in here for Fuse. Infinite going to start Bounce Man stage. Chelney missing that rush jump to get up high enough to hit Fuse with the combo, so he's going to have to rely on some Bounce Man weapon. like I said before, if you get enough of those on the screen, Fuse Man will find them. So the Tundra fight is the one fight that significantly changes now that you have his weakness in Fuse. The weapon refill is in the teleporter room itself. It doesn't drop from the boss. It can be picked up. That resets every time you come out. I think I was holding the wrong keyboard button for a while there. Sorry, folks. Last man fight, not really changing much. And that's that. Just Wily left for Chelney. Infinite in Bounce Man stage. You can kind of see this stage, if you don't clear out the rooms and you don't do them right kind of immediately, they become just really painful to work your way through. So Infinite's just using Tundra to clear out some of the enemies above him off the screen. So Chelney using Speed Gear and Rush Jet to kind of get on this first platform. This room is kind of an elevator puzzle, so like a lot of things like this in gaming, the goal is to just save as many cycles as you can. Especially because here, the very last one is a giant fall. So if you can skip a lot of platforms, you save a decent chunk of time. So Wily Machine Mark 11 here. Blast and Acid are our friends. The Power Acid shield lets you fire acid shots, which do quite a bit of damage to the lower gear. I think the normal acid shield does as well. Acid just one of the clumsier weapons in this game. That said, naturally, that makes it the choice for Wily. If Wily's high, Blast is good. If Wily's low, jumping in and triggering the Power Acid shield directly inside the capsule is a significant amount of damage to Wily. And that's time. GG for Chelney.
Give up, Wily. You leave me no choice. Time for plan B.
Infinite still working his way through Bounce Man stage. This is the non-rush jet method of getting up here. And you still have to make this a really annoying jump. Make sure you don't bonk. Bounce Man stage is just a... So yes, get those GGs out for Chelney. Pump Master K. What a mini boss. So this room that Infinite's in now, here we go. There's Jet. You just have to watch out for the tellies coming out of that generator. If you go to the right side of that room, there's just a lot of enemies popping out of pits trying to knock you in, and yeah. Chelney, honestly, just skill for getting through the game faster. And this game has a lot of punishing points. You saw even Chelney had a lot of trouble in a few spots. There's just a lot of ways this game can punish you. So Infinite coming into Bounce Man.
I bet you can't bounce like this.
I think we're going to see 3 power impacts this time. Oh. Just waiting for Bounce Man to come down sometimes if you don't get the initial hit in the air. And you can also see there's actually 2 parts to the impact hit that are happening. There's the initial, well, impact. And then you have like that little explosion that happens afterwards that does more damage. And if you don't get all of those, you will need more than 3 impacts to take out Bounce Man. So I believe that's 7 robots for Infinite now, moving on to Fuse. Again, just a painful stage. Lots of damage from the floors. Lots of lasers. You can impact through the lasers, though. Bounce Man's weapon has a little bit of extra use in the stage just because it can, well, bounce. So some of the enemies that are on weird angles, you can use those bounce balls to get to them a little earlier than usual. They also take out those sort of, I don't know what to call those little like things that are transferring the current around. Infinite on a couple of hit points here, trying to figure out how to get through this section safely. He's going to just use Tundra. Needs to make these jumps now, though. Yeah, this stage, I think Fuse Man stage is one of the few stages that really will whittle down Mega Man's health. A lot of the other stages tend to rely on death traps more than actually damaging Mega Man. This one, it is death by 1,000 tiny lasers. Nice reaction to at least come back from bouncing off of the shield to land on that platform. And been showing off that you can angle the bounce weapon up. Yeah, impact really is kind of the key to this speed run. It is ridiculously useful. Has a ton of utility. It's really useful, especially in sections like this where there's enemies floating through the air and there's just not good opportunity to use a lot of slide. Infinite is going to use Tundra on the screen to clear things out quickly. Looks like is he looking for bounce? There we go. There we go. Just be a little careful, but the Dread Spark can't do too much about Mega Man being close to him. It's going to pick up that health and continue on here. speed gear always useful when you're not completely confident you can get through the room. Better to get through the room than to get caught, take more hits, fall in pits, all that other bad stuff. Bounce ball is just too strong. So here's the section when things aren't as fast as we would like. Infinite gotta be a little careful here. I don't think he can take another laser at all. Oh. Yeah, that... Sometimes if you just don't quite jump over, if you're used to a lot of the old Mega Man games, there's a lot of things about Mega Man 11 that feel slightly off. Things like you think you're going to make it onto a ledge and maybe you don't. Now that can definitely hurt some things. Not sure if that caught Infinite at the end of that stage or not. Infinite. He should be reaching the boss this time. I think we're going to see a straight bounce fight. The one thing about Fuseman bouncing around like that, he actually goes almost too fast. Since he'll generally come down before Mega Man's own iframes have worn off, making it so you only get hit once or twice in that whole sequence. Shoutouts to Auto using double gear on the left, by the way. So that's 8 robots for Infinite. Skipping the Wily cutscene.
Mega Man!
Okay, Mega. Are you sure? Ta-da! Are you sure? Are you sure? Ta-da! Are you sure?
Oh, Wily's going to go shopping. Infinite's going to go shopping before the Wily stages. There are discounts to the consumable items you can buy on weekends and Wednesday. This is Sunday, so there you go. Infinite going to work his way through the first kind of screen here. Wily. Still going to see a lot of impact usage. It just makes the stage way too easy. The trick, though, is still to make sure you get the drops. Infinite's a little short on impact, it looks like. And this looks like a dangerous... Okay. And he's going to use the pause button to make sure he actually gets the switch back to impact. So after this, we've got the Yoku block puzzle. Defeated like many other Yoku block puzzle. I don't think I've seen that strat. I like it. Fuse can be fired up and down. It will track along the walls either way. It's an easy way to make sure things get knocked out along the floors. Infinite's he is going to continue using impact here. Impact or jet will get you through this room. Impact's just a little faster for it. Not quite able to make it to the top of the ladder. Oh my goodness, how did he not hit those spikes? This was a screen we saw Chelney impact over earlier. Torch is kind of a good weapon. It's a very good weapon for taking out a lot of the shielded enemies. It will go right through a lot of the shields. It's just a matter of it doing enough damage to finish the job. I don't think that's what Infinite intended there. Jumping, you do need to get high enough in the air to kind of trigger that enemy to appear and become vulnerable. And usually that's step one to taking it out so it doesn't hit you halfway up the gear room. Infinite is going to put that weapon drop into Buster. Well, into Coil, I should say. So Infinite took out the mech with Buster, which, much like Mega Man 2, causes the Sniper Joe to kind of hop out onto the ground. Had to deal with it. Here we go. So now let's see what Infinite's really going to do. It's going to go up the falling gear path. Very nice. That looks like what he really wanted to do from the start. And he is going to approach Yellow Devil. He has acid out. I'm not sure what he's going to use with this. There's acid is up on the right stick, blast is up and right. So again, diagonals tend to kind of make themselves unwelcome. This is Infinite's last life, so he's going to use the E-Tank. So it will take 7 power bombs without using those chain blasts in the middle to take down the Yellow Devil. If you're paying attention at home, this is the same room crossing pattern Yellow Devil uses in Mega Man 1. And this should do it. Very nice from Infinite Mystery.
The reactor's running unusually.
Okay. Are you sure? Ta-da! Are you sure? Ta-da!
You can see Infinite wanting to make sure he gets more E-Tanks after that this time. Infinite gonna open up those blocks with the exploding cats. And run away from, I don't know what to call this Wily room destroying device. Torch again, very nice weapon for just getting that upward arc of destruction. Really takes out shielded enemies very well. Going to refill Torch with that drop. I guess Torch was the only weapon he's used so far, so good choice. So I'm guessing Infinite just missed the power gear option there. Yeah, Mega Man 11 has a lot of weapon swapping, a lot of weapon usage. It's for such a young game, it's fairly optimized. I don't think anybody would say it's been fully optimized yet by any stretch, but there's definitely a lot of time that strats can save. There's Power Tundra in that room to make sure both Sniper Joes don't interfere with Mega Man. Infinite Mystery welcoming that large health drop from the Joe in the middle. Part of the reason Mega Man 11 has so much weapon swapping in it is because you have the fast weapon swap ability. Being able to use the right stick to basically instantly switch to any weapon with one button tap makes it very, very easy to do, even if the right stick sometimes does not cooperate. That and the weapons in this game are also just very useful. There's only, I would really only say like a couple of weapons that aren't up there on the list of it's obvious when to use them. And especially with Impact, you have a great weapon for movement. Rush is great for movement. Tundra, Torch, and Block are great for clearing out parts of the screen. There's just a lot you can do in this. I think the real mystery at this point is why did Wily have Torchman stage have a fast-moving wall of death, but Wily's own castle has a slow-moving wall of death? Filling up Tundra to use it right away. Let's see if it's going to switch to the bounce balls. Take out the stompers. Impact also useful because it takes out the sliding spines along the floor. This room, it can be done without the speed gear. It just looks a little scary. Using the speed gear makes it free. So Infinite's got to wait for that cooldown to happen. Use the gears too much, it starts flashing red. Can't use it until it cools all the way. So Infinite's going to take on the Mauverine now. I'm not sure if he just hasn't found bounce with the right stick yet, or if he knows something. Shouts to Chelney for putting up the Go Infinite Mystery Go. So you can see Infinite is just going to stick to the bounce balls here. They do a fair amount of damage to the Mauverine's core. He's got to get himself out of the Mauverine's core. Oh, we jumped too soon. Mauverine tracked him. I don't think he can take many more super lasers. Not that it matters at this point. The Infinite Mystery is through to the refights. You can actually slide through those oil cans before they take off. It's just not the easiest thing to do in the world. I like to spike. Again, the Impact Man Power Gear cycle. Bounce Man again. We want to see some impact usage here. You have to be quick for the first impact on Bounce Man, or else he will get too high in the air. You can use Rush Coil as well to get a hit high in the air. There we go. Torchman, we're just gonna pause to switch to Tundra. Infinite Mystery using normal Tundras before going to Power Tundra. Easy fight. So again, I think you're going to see Torch get used to take out the bombs in the arc as they're coming in. 7 torches will take out Blast Man. Guess he hit... Was that an intentional dodge? There we go. He's hitting iframes, and while the Robot Masters are activating their gears, they do get some invincibility out of it. Again, Tundra weak to Thunder. Good night, Tundra Man. So the trick with Fuse Man, you do usually want to enter this room with bounce already selected, so you can get that hit in before he kind of zips away. Although even now you can kind of see, like, with 1 or 2 uses of bounce, they're bouncing around the room, hitting him multiple times. If you can survive the fight, just filling the room with bounce is not a bad tactic. Here's the block fight again. So Infinite's just going to work with the Buster. I'm guessing he wants to save his blast for this phase. He doesn't want it. It only takes 1 or 2 power blasts to get him here. But obviously the more you have, the more you can miss here. Because it's very easy for a shot to go underneath that core while the golem is moving. At which point you have to find another way to take it down. And really, phase 1 for Blockman is pretty easy to avoid everything, so it's not a bad idea. Acid Man. Just your basic Blockman kill. Good refights from Infinite. On to Wily.
The reactor's running unusually.
Okay, Mega. What'll it be?
So Infinite's got some choices here. He's got 480 bolts. He's only going to go with one E10. And sliding underneath that last enemy. Is he going to go for it? Okay, we're just going to wait for the next cycle. It's very easy to take an accidental death going for that first cycle. That is some funky rush physics. Capcom, what are you doing? Summoning rush and getting those coils in to skip some cycles here can be a little tricky sometimes. Does beat the last cycle at least. And once again, Wily Machine. Like Infinite is trying to get some acid hits in, or he just might have hit the wrong button. Both weapons work pretty well here. So he's gonna have to wait for the power gear to burn out at this point. Well, to cool down, I guess. But it is good still to... you can still use acid to do some damage, but because the shield without power only takes one hit to sort of burst from the missiles, not really the recommended strat. Not sure if Infinite just didn't realize that the power gear had burned out. Bustering the gears here to bring Wily lower to the ground is definitely something you can do. Infinite is going to reach for the E-Tank. Not the W-Tank yet. So without acid, we're looking for blast on the capsule. Fuse is a decent backup. I believe it does 2 damage a shot. And he's going to reach for the tank. There's one big hit. There's another one. He's out of acid now, though. And he's running out of hit points. Infinite's going to switch to Fuse. So this is the double gear phase, the final phase of this fight. Wily just teleports to one of, I think, about 8 spots on the screen and dashes across. Looks like Infinite is going to try and use block and spawn it directly into him for 1 hit point at a time. There's the room crossing one. Oh my goodness, the dodge. He's out! He's out! I think he got him. Okay.
Rev up, Wily.
You leave me no choice. Time for plan B. Spare me.
So Infinite is going to be done with a 111.36. GG Infinite.
Enough! You can't fool me that easily.
Drat.
A hard-fought victory over Dr. Wily there for Infinite.
I lost
No,
my own technology.
So congrats to Infinite. Congrats to Chelney for winning the matchup.
You never learn.
Chelney is going to advance to fight the winner of Sage Hero and Anya 5MK.
You plagiarist.
Open your eyes, Wily.
We'll wait to see who Infinite catches in the bonus bracket.
Tell me what you see.
And we'll see if anybody wants to come in to say hello. But otherwise, I think that's going to be it for round 1. And yeah, thanks everybody for sticking around, giving the shout outs to Infinite Mystery. Just everybody should know these tournaments tend to be open to everybody. Everybody is welcome to jump in. This is how a lot of communities just really explode in size. As everybody just comes in and races. And it's just a whole lot of fun to be parts of these tournaments. I encourage everybody, if there's a game you like and you see a tournament getting started up, just join the tournament. Get in there and race and have fun. It looks like we're not going to have any post-race interview. So, again, this was an early match in the Mega Man 11 tournament. Chelney moving on. Infinite waiting to find out who his opponent is going to be. And this was Mr. Cab. Shoutouts to Speed Gaming for hosting this tournament. And we will see you next time. I don't have the race schedule on hand. I'm pretty sure we probably have something scheduled in this tournament for tomorrow. But otherwise, stick around on Speed Gaming. Don't forget to follow the runners. And don't forget to follow Speed Gaming. I'm loading this thing up. Next Mega Man 11 tournament match will be Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Charlie Boy and Mumu Kai. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.